He's got the greatest 3-fight win streak in the history of the sport. He knocks out Alexander Volkanovski, Max Holloway, and then Charles Oliveira. It's the greatest 3-fight.
Holloway and Volkanovski back to back. He thinks that, hey, I can knock these guys out. But the only fight he's had at 55, he's gotten dropped by Jai Herbert. And then we've seen him get like out-muscled and out-wrestled by a couple guys at 45. I think Islam's just going to be...
Joe Rogan has weighed in on the growing tension between Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria, calling their recent exchange a potential spark for the UFC's next major blockbuster. At the same time, Khamzat Chimaev is back on US soil, now that his visa issues are resolved. He's currently in Los Angeles, wrapping up training camp for his upcoming middleweight title clash with Dricus du Plessis at UFC 319 in Chicago on August 16. But Chimaev isn't just focused on gold. He's also reigniting his long-running feud with Sean Strickland, someone who's been talking about him for years. Meanwhile, Arman Tsarukyan is making a strong case for a title shot, and even whispers of a potential McGregor vs. Khabib rematch are starting to surface once again.
That Sean Strickland, all these guys, they should be afraid of us. We fight not just for us, like they do. We fight for all Muslims.
That's right.
During the UFC 319 media scrum, Khamzat Chimaev didn't hold back, letting everyone know he's in Los Angeles and ready for whatever comes his way. He openly challenged Sean Strickland, suggesting that if things are personal, Strickland should show up and settle it. Chimaev also took a shot at Strickland's timing, pointing out that he only seems to talk tough when Chimaev is out of the country, but stays quiet when he's around.
I was here when he retired from COVID. I was training with him. Like, he's just come. You know, it's like, if you knew, I always say there's guys, if you knew on a personal level you wouldn't like, Chimaev is one of those people if you knew you wouldn't like. You know, he'll come in here. There's a video of me. I always look like, oh, you're so good. Come as up. Understand, you're better than most. You're better than everybody. So just don't hurt people. Like, I'm being sarcastic.
Although Sean Strickland is currently serving a suspension from the Nevada State Athletic Commission and can't compete officially, that hasn't stopped fans from speculating about a possible clash between him and Khamzat Chimaev. With both fighters just a short drive apart, the idea of a confrontation, even unofficial, is fueling rumors, though an off-the-record fight is highly unlikely. Still, the tension between them feels very real. Looking ahead, a sanctioned bout between Chimaev and Strickland seems entirely possible, especially if Chimaev walks out of UFC 319 as the new middleweight champion. Meanwhile, back in Lafayette, Dustin Poirier is continuing to make an impact outside the cage. Just weeks after UFC 318, he and his Good Fight Foundation held their 5th annual back-to-school giveaway, distributing more than 1,200 backpacks to local students in need.
Y'all need 3? 2? Y'all got 2? You need 1 more? There you go. We got 2 kids? You got to be 2? Is there more coming? Come on. DC, 1 more food. 1 more? I don't offer that anymore, right? Yeah, no more. Thank you.
The event saw a strong community turnout, with families arriving early as kids lined up to receive backpacks loaded with school supplies. Dustin Poirier was hands-on throughout the day, personally handing out backpacks, taking photos, and connecting with local families. Last year's giveaway saw over 1,500 bags distributed in just 1 hour, and this year's numbers held steady, even with Poirier recently announcing his retirement. A dedicated group of volunteers joined him, helping ensure that students were well prepared to start the new school year on the right foot.
Elsewhere, Dustin Poirier's Good Fight Foundation holding its annual school backpack giveaway today. Poirier, of course, known for being a great fighter, but also for giving back to the communities. A total of 1,200 backpacks filled with school supplies being given away on a first-come, first-served basis to school kids at Service Chevrolet Cadillac here in Lafayette.
Because I realize I have a platform that people are listening.
The event comes as Dustin Poirier continues his time away from competition, though his presence in Louisiana and his dedication to giving back remain as strong as ever. Meanwhile, Arman Tsarukyan is turning up the heat on Ilia Topuria, accusing the reigning champion of avoiding a potential matchup. Speaking during Media Day in Los Angeles, Tsarukyan didn't hold back, claiming Topuria would rather vacate the title than face him. According to Tsarukyan, the champ is chasing easier fights against names like Paddy Pimblett or Justin Gaethje, but knows that stepping into the cage with him would be a serious challenge.
So I'm just still waiting, training, and trying to call out Ilia as much as possible. So, but
Yeah, we've seen some of the tweets towards Ilia. They've been funny. I enjoyed the duck video that you did. What do you make of the fact that he says he would rather give up the belt than fight today? He just don't deserve it. He doesn't want it.
I mean, he feels that he's gonna lose that fight, and it's better to give the belt and then like.
Since his knockout win over Charles Oliveira at UFC 317 to capture the vacant lightweight title, Ilia Topuria has kept fans guessing about his next move. Recently, he teased a potential bout with Paddy Pimblett, fueling speculation that the UFC might prioritize a high-profile, money-making matchup over putting him in against the division's most dangerous contenders.
Arman Tsarukyan is able to go in there and get the job done, but then guess what, Arman? You have made yourself a star already by some of these antics to build this fight up. And Ilia Topuria, as we know, is already a star. So he's going to continue to just be a bigger star if he's able to stop all these guys that are trolling.
Everybody and their damn mama, they want.
Tsarukyan was originally lined up for a title shot earlier this year, but had to withdraw at the last minute due to a back injury, and he hasn't stepped into the octagon since. Now, he says he's fully recovered, training hard twice a day, and has already informed the UFC that he's ready for a return as early as September or October. While Tsarukyan is still laser-focused on the lightweight belt, he's also open to a tune-up fight first, possibly against Dan Hooker, and even mentioned Justin Gaethje as a potential opponent.
Ilia, stop running, Ilia. Stop running, Ilia.
Good boy. I'll make it quick, no worries. Good boy.
Justin Gaethje has made it clear he's not stepping back into the cage unless it's for a title, and retirement may be looming on the horizon. Meanwhile, Ilia Topuria still hasn't committed to his first title defense, leaving the division in a holding pattern. But Arman Tsarukyan isn't staying quiet. His message to the UFC is simple. He wants his shot, and he's not backing down until he gets it.at the same time. Joe Rogan is throwing his support behind a potential super fight between Topuria and Islam Makhachev, urging the UFC to make it happen sooner rather than later. The recent verbal exchanges between the two champions have caught fire, and according to Rogan, they've ignited a wave of hype, anticipation, and speculation. The kind of energy that could fuel the UFC's next blockbuster event.
Hypothetical fight against Islam, how do you see that fight going? If it goes to the ground, do you feel confident that you could out-grapple him, or would you try to keep it standing?
My mindset is always the same. I'm always looking to achieve things that no one could. So someone could submit him. I will be the first one to submit him.
Any specific submission?
On his podcast and across social media, Joe Rogan shut down the usual debate about whether Ilia Topuria should defend his title several times before facing someone like Islam Makhachev. Rogan made his stance clear: let's just make it happen. He called it the fight to book, highlighting the fact that both men are at the top of the pound-for-pound rankings, and that a clash between them would be a must-watch for any serious MMA fan. Meanwhile, the buzz surrounding this potential super fight continues to grow. After Topuria's knockout win over Charles Oliveira to capture the vacant lightweight title at UFC 317, his profile has exploded, only adding more heat to the speculation.
Who do you think should be next for Ilia?
Who should be next for Ilia? 55 has always been so cloudy at the top. Maybe Gaethje. I think him going to 170 to fight Islam, if Islam wins, is a stretch. You know, Islam's big, man. I've never seen Ilia in person, but he seems smaller. I know obviously he can knock anyone out. I do think if they fight, Ilia can knock anybody out from 45 to 170.
Ilia Topuria is currently sitting at the #1 spot on the UFC's pound-for-pound rankings, and the conversation around his next move is heating up. Meanwhile, Islam Makhachev is gearing up for a shot at the welterweight title later this year, with a scheduled fight against Jack Della Maddalena at Madison Square Garden in November. Topuria has been vocal about chasing legacy-defining fights, and a clash with Makhachev is quickly becoming one of the most talked-about possibilities. Even Islam's coach, Javier Mendez, who once downplayed Topuria as a threat, has now acknowledged that a bout between the two would be the biggest possible fight for Makhachev right now. Khamzat Chimaev, currently in camp for his UFC 319 middleweight title fight on August 16th, also weighed in. He believes the fastest route to the pound-for-pound #1 spot is by defeating Makhachev. Speaking during his training, Chimaev didn't rule out dropping back down in weight after his middleweight shot, saying he's open to competing across multiple divisions, including welterweight. As the landscape shifts, and with Khabib Nurmagomedov recently confirming Makhachev's return timeline, the stakes surrounding Islam's next fight and his future opponents have never been higher. And as Chimaev put it, we'll see who becomes champ, but if that guy wins, that's the quickest path to the top.
Wins the fight, fastest way to get the pound for pound number one.
It seems like you're next up for the title. What do you envision your title run looking like? Do you want to clear out the middleweight division, or would you prefer to sort of go up to light heavyweight and challenge?
Bro, I'm talking about 3 belts from a long time ago, so of course I want to go up. But what Dana White, what the UFC wants, I don't know, man. So if they gives me first, I has in my weight class, need to take the belt, so then I gonna think about it as well.
Chimaev's comments quickly sparked a wave of reactions online, with fans buzzing about the possibility of a future showdown between him and Islam Makhachev. While some raised concerns about the potential size difference if Makhachev moves up in weight, the overwhelming response has been excitement over a potential champion versus champion clash. One fan wrote, "This would be a record-breaking fight. I need to see it happen," while another joked, "Islam versus Khamzat would feed families." I'm rooting for Islam to be the underdog. The hype is clearly building, and if both men continue on their current trajectories, a collision between two of the UFC's most dominant forces may not be far off.
When the Khabib and Conor fought, I was that day on the work, you know.
Like, was it at a restaurant or like?
Yeah,
what?
no, like bars
Oh,
and different places, you know. Like the guys come out, you know, like they was too drunk and they put them out. They said that you fuck Khabib. I said, I'm not Khabib, go away. They was thinking I'm Khabib. They was too drunk.
And this was in Russia,
Khabib
right?
fought today. What are you talking about?
So you had to break up a lot of bar fights as security?
Not fights. I couldn't punch in Sweden. If you punch, it's
The buzz around a potential Makhachev versus Chimaev super fight keeps gaining steam, with more fans jumping into the conversation. Comments like, "This would be a wild matchup. This is the one everyone wants. And it would be bigger than Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili," have flooded social media. And even though Chimaev has yet to claim the middleweight title, it's clear his sights are set far beyond UFC 319. Whether at 170, 185, or even somewhere in between, Chimaev is openly talking about chasing greatness and building a legacy across divisions. Interestingly, during Fight Week, Chimaev also credited former US President Donald Trump with indirectly helping him return to the US for UFC 319. He referenced policy shifts made during Trump's presidency that helped clear visa issues tied to sanctions affecting fighters with Chechen heritage, due to their associations with Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov. Now fully based in California, Chimaev has completed the bulk of his training camp in Los Angeles, locked in and ready for his title shot.
It wasn't my fault, you know. I didn't have everyone knows I didn't have the visa to US. That's why I didn't fight only once in Abu Dhabi. So now Donald Trump here, so we go for a fight.
Everyone's talking about that White House fight, that White House card next year.
Bro, look at my face. I don't think so. They may let me come over there.
Chimaev also reacted to the recent news of a planned UFC event at the White House on July 4th, 2026, a special card being organized by UFC CEO Dana White with backing from Donald Trump as part of America's 250th anniversary celebrations. When asked if he might be part of that historic lineup, Chimaev laughed and played it off, saying, "Bro, look at my face. I don't think they'll let me come over there." He emphasized that he prefers to keep politics separate from sports, even though he acknowledged the policy support that helped him re-enter the US. For now, his attention is fully locked on UFC 319, where he's set to compete for the middleweight title in Chicago. After the fight, he plans to return home, take a breather, and then consider his next move. Whether it's another title pursuit or a massive super fight waiting on the horizon.
It wasn't my bad. It wasn't my fault, you know. I didn't have everyone knows I didn't have the visa to US. That's why I didn't fight only once in Abu Dhabi. So now Donald Trump here, so we go for a fight.
Chimaev kept his comments on the proposed White House UFC event brief, choosing to keep the focus squarely on his upcoming title fight. Still, his return to the US and the well-timed visa approval have raised eyebrows, especially as the UFC continues to collaborate with Donald Trump on high-profile, attention-grabbing events. Meanwhile, Artem Lobov has added fuel to one of MMA's most persistent dream matchups. The former UFC featherweight and longtime teammate of Conor McGregor believes that a rematch with Khabib Nurmagomedov could still happen, possibly in 2026, if the timing and circumstances align. Despite Khabib's retirement back in 2020, Lobov sees the fight as the biggest bout MMA could offer, especially on a stage as massive as a potential White House card.
You know what I mean? And then I feel everything would be sweet between us as well. And we could get, the band back together. I would love to see him come back because I feel that if he was at 100%, we would be able to bring Khabib back as well. I think that Khabib would come back for that fight if Conor was 100% and fit and, making real, moves, making real fights. He would just need one fight, knock the guy out, and then the whole world will be, talking to Khabib and getting him to come back. I know that fight bothers Conor.
Lobov was cage-side at UFC 229 in 2018, when the heated rivalry between Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov reached its peak. The fight ended with Khabib submitting McGregor, followed by a chaotic post-fight brawl that spilled outside the octagon and into the crowd. Since then, Khabib remained undefeated, retiring on top after a dominant win over Justin Gaethje at UFC 254. He's shown no real interest in returning to competition, but according to Lobov, there might be one factor that could change that. In a recent conversation with Ariel Helwani, Lobov suggested that if McGregor returns at full strength and shows real focus, it could be enough to draw Khabib back. "I'd love to see him return," Lobov said. "Because if Conor is 100%, I believe that could be what brings Khabib out of retirement too."